Well, thank you very much. No, may I just start off by welcoming everyone. Thank you very much for making the time to join us on what is really going to be a rather short uh, little ceremony. During this online launch of the virtual community of honor champions, and we're having this online launch obviously because of COVID-19. But interestingly, the inspiration to create this virtual community of honor champions and its component virtual honor champions groups, that the inspiration from it actually came from COVID-19. We all would realize that many lessons have been learned or can be learned from COVID-19. The critical one being that internet presence and interaction has become a lot more important, whether it be e-commerce or e-food delivery or webinars and so on. The internet, by its very nature, is a medium of trust. Promises made online have to be delivered with the expected quality and excellence and speed in the real world. So honoring our word is the first leg of honor we acknowledge in Honor Singapore. So that's the first point about the internet. It's a medium built on trust. And if we fail to deliver on what we promise, we're in trouble. This trust extends to working from home. I remember, in the time of, in the time that I was in government, and then later on when I was in GIC, there was this great discussions that we had on how much telecommuting to allow, and all the time it is about thinking through the pros and cons. Can we trust people to be diligent? Can we trust people to be honest? Can we trust people to do their best? Can we trust people to still commit to working as a team despite not meeting physically? So very often the companies and organizations, when they enter into these kinds of discussions, the end result is either we should not have telecommuting, or if we have, let's specify maximum number of hours, and let's specify what are the hours that people must turn up in the office. And then suddenly COVID-19 comes, and we find we simply need to trust people to be responsible, to look out for each other. And so this becomes, in many ways, the second leg of what we acknowledge in Honor Singapore as an important part of honor. And that is to honor each other, to have care and concern for each other, to have that sense of mutual responsibility for each other. And we start this honor each other part of the honor paradigm by talking of honoring ourselves, that we have to honor ourselves by doing the best that we can with our talents and abilities, and to do our best according to what we are capable of, and also to contribute our best for the good of other people around us, for the good of the team we work with, in everything that we do, to seek to be the best that we can be. Then after that, of course, we extend going beyond just ourselves to honoring each other in terms of other members of our work team, other people that we come in contact with, our own family members, other people that we either regularly meet or casually meet. It's a call on us about our behavior and our respecting each other and about looking out for each other. But we are here this evening recognizing that COVID-19 has made us even more aware and appreciative of the two aspects of honoring our word and honoring each other. Be trustworthy if we expect to succeed long-term. Be caring, be concerned, contribute the best way we can to help one another. And we remind ourselves about the honor circle. First, to be honor-directed individuals, then honor-directed families, then honor-directed communities, then honor-directed organizations and businesses, and finally honor-directed nation, which in turn allows us to practice the best way possible, being honor-directed individuals, then going on to families and communities and so on. So this is a virtuous circle where each step in the honor circle adds to the value and good sense of the next step. It expresses the fact that we all wish for honor to pervade every aspect of work and life, evoking trust and relationship, which in turn results in less stress and more happiness. And be assured that whatever is within the means of Honor Singapore to encourage and facilitate the thought and practice of honor, we will do. This evening, we are here to inaugurate the first virtual Honor Champions groups. We all know that nothing happens without champions, people who are convinced about the worthiness of a cause for themselves and for the people around them. Whether family or people they come across in daily life, or colleagues at work or in school, or fellow citizens and residents of Singapore, and who are prepared to take the lead in thought and action are the people we look out for. These are the people who will be the honor champions. Having a community of honor champions in virtual space is a new idea inspired by COVID-19. We cannot succeed without it, without trying and learning and helping each other through its ups and downs. So here we are in COVID-19. Here we are having to move on with honor champions groups, but knowing at the end of the day that where the opportunity arises, we have to go beyond just interactions in virtual space to in fact getting to know each other and interacting in person. Simply having a community with many members having different concerns and interests will mean a loss of focus and concentration of effort, simply because there's too diverse interests. And this is why we are advocating the community as comprising a series of honor champions groups, with each group composed of members interested in a particular aspect of work or life, so that they will find meaning, purpose, and value to spend time in meeting and discussion. The themes binding each group can be wide-ranging, and the possibilities are enormous. The important point is not that we talk about what we mean by honor and wanting each member of the group to understand and almost be able to recite what are these aspects of honor. That's not what the important thing is. The important thing is for us to set up groups so that people will come together, helping each other through discussion, through the sharing of ideas, in the belief that honor, being trustworthy, keeping our word, doing the best that we can, showing concern for each other, that this is something which pervades life in all its dimensions. So we want to set up the groups, each one with its own theme, each one with its own purpose as defined by its members. But we believe that in the course of discussing with each other how best they each can succeed in work and in life, they will have to discuss the message of honor. How can we bring honor into daily practice? How can we bring honor into daily behavior? Because without it, we will not be able to trust each other. Without it, we will not be able to develop relationship with one another. So the themes binding each group, as I said, can be wide-ranging, and the possibilities are enormous. Honor Singapore does not set any limit to the number of groups, though we advocate a group size of no less than 10 members or more than 100. So we think the groups must not be too large, neither should they be too small. The name of each group, how often it should meet, whether meetings should be online or in person and so on, will all be left to each group. Each group will find its own way according to what is the best way by which to meet the interests and the expectations and the hopes of their members. Honor Singapore will provide the online platform for groups to record their membership, to send out notices, to share ideas and messages, and so on. I'm very happy now to introduce Mr. Jaspal Singh, who is helping us conceive and develop the community of Honor Champions with its many Honor Champions groups. Jaspal is our lead convener. We are so very grateful that Jaspal is freely giving us his time and energy for this enterprise, despite so many calls for his attention in his many other appointments. I ask him now to tell us what is happening and to introduce the conveners for the pioneering groups which we are inaugurating today. So, Jaspal, please. Oh, sorry, you appear to have a little glitch. We'll get Jaspal on. Thank you.
Sorry, I was on the mute. I'll start again. Thank you, Mr. Lim, and good evening, friends. Mr. Lim, in his usual eloquent way, has already spoken about the importance of honor, of making honor and honorable behavior our way of life. So I shall not bother to repeat any of the stuff that he said, except to say that, in my view, this is no longer just a good to have, but something which we must have going forward if we are to survive and thrive as a nation and as a society. As you all know, the imperative of the day, and everybody speaks about it, reading the papers every day, is sustainability, or ESG, as they commonly refer to in everyday parlance. The S and the G in ESG stand for social and governance frameworks within our social, public, and corporate settings. So it's not just the environment when we talk of a sustainable future, but also the social and governance frameworks supporting our society and businesses that have to be restructured and strengthened for society and businesses to be sustainable. Simply put, if everyone in our social and corporate settings, our daily settings and organizations behaved honorably, for a start, I think you would have a lot fewer corporate and public and social misdeeds and scandals and so on. Because behaving honorably means, amongst other things, doing the right thing by all stakeholders, including the man in the street, not taking shortcuts for expediency, especially when no one's looking, or when one thinks that no one is looking, or one thinks that one can get away with whatever it is that they know in their hearts is not right. So this is a fundamental reason that to have honor as a basis to which we think and we conduct ourselves. As for example, as Mr. Lim has alluded to just now, when you sign up to work from home, you have effectively given your word that you will work from home. Or if you're a mechanic and you have given your word that you will routinely check the drains in MRT stations to make sure they're not clogged, then I'm sure we will not have and you keep your word and you do check those things, you would not see flooding in MRT stations causing trains to cease functioning and so on. So the idea of behaving honorably goes right down to every level and every aspect of our daily lives. Keeping your word, in other words, what you sign up for to do. These are just two simple examples, and I'm sure that we can all think of such examples of dishonorable behavior, not least among the corporate scandals we sometimes read about in the newspapers from time to time. So honor is not just about honoring your word, but also honoring each other, as Mr. Lim has said, and which effectively means putting into practice, as I see it, all the virtues we talk about, like showing respect by being humble and being punctual, showing you care by being kind and being fair, showing trust by being open and being honest in your word, in your thought and deed, and so on. I mean, honor essentially is the bedrock on which all these virtues and values rest. And for all of these reasons, and what Mr. Lim has said, the establishment of the community of honor champions, I think, is really a very, very timely initiative, which is Mr. Lim's idea, and I think credit must go where it's due. So Mr. Lim has already spelled out the broad concept of the community of honor champions, which is to provide really a platform for groups of people who share some common interest or vocation or passion, as Mr. Lim says, but all of whom, all these people are committed to thinking, speaking, and behaving honorably, and to get together informally and voluntarily and in a non-threatening environment, in a non-threatening context, at regular intervals to socialize and reinforce the importance of honor in some shape or form. I mean, the reason why Mr. Lim thought of putting people together by reason of vocation or common interest or passion is really, as the old English expression goes, birds of a feather flock together. I mean, that's natural as it comes. So this sense of grouping people together is as natural as can get. And but it's a bit like Rotary Club, where people meet for monthly to enjoy a meal, listen to a speaker, chat among themselves, and so on. It's a social, non-threatening environment where, as Mr. Lim says, you speak about everything else, but you're all overlaying a basis for you getting together. You remind yourself why you're together on that occasion. It's because you all believe or you are committed to behaving honorably, thinking honorably, and speaking honorably. And that way, and you want to influence others to do that too. We all find comfort in being as part of a group. If you look at the Maslowian hierarchy of needs, the third level of need is the need for love, the need to associate, the need to belong together somewhere. And that's why people join clubs, people join societies and so on, because they want to get together. And this idea of setting up small groups like this is really a means to cater to the human need, the Maslowian need of wanting to get together, to belong to a family, to belong to a group, belong to a social club or something like that. So it is a natural setting that we're trying to provide here for people who want to get together and reinforce the message of honor and how they can live their lives along with these times. But the important thing as we see it is this must be a sustainable initiative. In other words, we don't want it to be kind of the flavor of the month and then, after a while it dwindles out and so on. So I'd rather we start small and we set up a broad framework and a structure of how these groups will function. And some of the elements we want to put in place are A, the size, as Mr. Lim says, it has to be not too small, not too large. If it gets too large, let's say it gets to 50, 100 people and the convener feels that it's really too large to manage as a group, by all means, appoint someone else within the group itself to be another convener and spin off. It's a free country and we can spin off. And so long as the conveners are critical here because they have to have the commitment and the passion, and because they are going to shape the group as a whole. Now, each group, as Mr. Lim said, will be headed by a convener. The convener's job really is to coordinate and sort of manage the group, just much as a shepherd manages his flock, and caters to its needs. But if the flock gets too large and too unwieldy, then of course you may have to break it up into smaller flocks, and get more convenience So we'll see how we go along. But that's the whole idea. The membership entirely is voluntary, and the conveners, of course, will be appointed by Honor SG, but who would in turn I think the convener should have the main say into who joins your group, the frequency of meetings, the agenda, and so on and so forth, how the group is to operationalize and work. But for a start, we were thinking we need to have a structure to keep people focused and dedicated. And being on a virtual community gives us the advantage that we can actually meet as a whole group or we can meet as a small group from time to time, because you have And the platform we plan to use, by the way, is Slack. I'll come to that later. But for a start, we are thinking maybe a meeting should be once a month. And to make it easy to remember, we thought the second Tuesday of each month. Second Tuesday of each month, second day of the week, second Tuesday each month. That's a kind of the thing you set aside in your diaries. We thought about the timing. We thought in a COVID environment, maybe do it because we'll all be working from home. So we have it from 8 o'clock onwards, for example, after dinner and so on, when you're in a more relaxed mood. In the frame, you have a commitment to it. You go for it, just like Rotary Club, you go for it because you feel you want to go for it. And it's in your diary and you make time for it. So that's the idea. It's every second Tuesday of every. This is after discussion with the 4 original conveners that we came to this idea. Of course, we're open to other suggestions if you feel that way, but for the start, we thought we could come with that basis. We also thought that we should have each meeting followed by be a small meeting, large meeting, small meeting, large meeting, in the sense that a small meeting would be a meeting just of the group itself. A larger meeting can be all the groups meeting together, but with having a central focus as well. Because we are in a virtual world, we can do that. And the advantage of having large meetings where all the groups are meeting together at the same time is that we could have a keynote speaker like Mr. Lim, for example, and he can address all groups at all times on a subject that makes it more interesting for everybody. So that's how we think it will start working out. And of course, the whole idea is we don't want the group to get tainted by or corrupted by any conversations within groups or between groups going viral over social media. So we thought we would use a platform which allows for some degree of control and management. Not because we want to control, but we just want to give it some order and some exclusivity. So the platform we are thinking of using is called Slack. Some of you may be familiar with that. It's used in the corporate world. Gayatri, who I see, is from Oracle, and she's present here today, I think. She's the one who introduced us to the idea of using Slack as a software, which is used in many corporates, as you know. So those are the basic fundamental structure we are thinking of. I really think that it will work. It all depends on you and other like-minded people who step forward to commit yourselves to this transformation. I see this as really a transformation journey. It's hard work because we have to live honorably and to think honorably and to behave honorably at all times. It's hard work, and I'm sure we all know that. So we have to commit ourselves to it, and I do hope that you will all step forward. If you don't have the time to be a convener, that's okay. You come forward as a member, and then over time you may think that you can actually do more and become a convener, and then it'll be enormously satisfying. I can tell you that. I think so. And you will find that life becomes a lot easier because when you don't have any ulterior motives and so on, you don't have to worry about lying and so on and so forth, or whatever it is. It's a lot easier to live an honorable life than it is to live a dishonorable life, really. So anyway, I think we are going to start off with 4 groups to start off with, because we don't want to start off with a huge bang and then we want to sort of iron out the wrinkles as we go along in case there are any problems. But over time, we hope it will become a much larger community, of who knows, maybe hundreds of groups within Singapore. But it must be sustainable. That's our main objective. It must sustain, carry on life on its own over time. So it becomes something you're proud to belong to. So with that said, I would like to ask, we're starting off with 4 groups, and the 4 conveners are all here today. They are Siong Guan, who is heading up one group. And then there's Randall Xiao, Lu Mingyo, and Joyce Tan, all of whom are here. Can I ask would you like to say some words on your own, conveners? First, introduce yourselves and the groups you're leading rather. Joyce? You're mute, Joyce.
Thank you. Yes. Hi, I'm Joyce. Nice to meet everybody. Nice to see so many people making time for this soft launch. So some of you may know me, but not all. So I've been working in the financial institution in the industry for past 20 years. My day job is to provide consultancy to banks, to insurance companies, and to asset management firms. So my role in this Honor Champion group is to start a group called the Young Professionals, because that's where my passion is. And in the course of my work, I actually meet young people. So that is, I feel that might be a role I can play. Quick introduction. Thank you.
Guan Kai?
Hi everyone, my name is Guan Kai. You call me GK, which is easier. So I'm actually heading up a group which is primarily the entrepreneur and also the SME business. So in this part, right, what actually the focus on is mainly to gather like-minded business owner or even entrepreneurs, because especially when we venture overseas to other countries as a Singapore-based company, I hope that we can present a same ideology, a same behavior, and that is where I think that we wanted to form this group to showcase and also to have a common belief and a kind of a set value that we have. Yeah, so there's a brief introduction, and I'm actually doing more on technology solution, where we work with the brand owners to protect their products against counterfeit, against fake products. So this is primarily what I do, and we hope to build a strong brand for Singapore companies, especially we can group together. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Randall?
Hi everyone, I'm Randall. I run my own leadership and consultancy solutions provisioning. I'm convening for the group of self-employed trainers and consultants. So what I see for ourselves in this group is that as self-employed or ad hoc employed individuals, we often perform a service where we run very customized programs for our clients. We might be coaches and trainers in the corporate field, physical sports, or even providing consultancy to various organizations. We function as individuals, as subject matter experts most of the time, but it's good for us to come together as a community, number one, to champion a set of beliefs and principles for ourselves to flourish in this new normal, as well as to also see how we can develop our value offering to the clients that we can offer, apart from the content mastery that we have, the way we carry ourselves.
Okay. Ming Yao?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Ming Yao. I'm a principal of a secondary school. I'll be convening the group for educators or anyone interested in education. It's a big area. I guess what we really want to be able to see in this group, or at least the people who come on board, I think it's just to be able to talk about what it means that schools or academic institutions can demonstrate what honor means. There's recently I was going on Facebook and there was this Facebook article that was questioning about the whole integrity of the whole Pfizer, the clinical trials. And the basis of that was that, the one who's doing the clinical trials is actually the company that stands to gain from it. So people were questioning whether some of the things are trustworthy because the company gets to really gain a lot from it. And it made me think a little bit about, you know, when we're doing our work, when we are learning science and things like that, what goes behind the integrity of the subjects that we are doing. It's not just about the knowledge, it's not just about the experimentation, but almost honoring your word that you said that you've gone out, you've done these clinical trials. How much of that is even more important today, considering that, you know, almost everything can be faked and almost everything can be questioned. So I think this is where I hope to see that community of people who come together to just talk about, you know, what it means for us and practicing in our own academic institutions or schools.
Okay, well, that the conveners have introduced themselves together with their groups. I think most of you here, some of you may not actually be part of, fit into those groups, but don't worry. You have a lot of questions to ask, I'm sure. So this is something which is going to be an open platform. This whole thing will be recorded and I presume will be made available to everybody. And please feel free to talk to your friends, talk to us. You can reach out to me or to Kingsley or to Christine or anybody. Well, those are the three people really. So reach out to us with your questions. If your questions about joining and so on and so forth and being set up on it, just reach out to us. Okay, Kingsley, is that the way you want to work it?
We'd be happy to connect anyone basically with the groups, or also if you know, if we are interested in heading up a various group, whether in our fields or in a particular area of interest, I would be happy to get that going as well.
Yeah, and then we can work out, you know, you can be a member of a group, you can set up a group, you can choose a convener. If you feel you want to be a convener, you want to set up your own group, you're more than welcome. We'd love you to do that. So whatever works for you, spread the message around, spread the gospel around. It's you guys who are committed enough to want to come to this presentation this evening who are going to be the key drivers of this initiative. It's all in our hands. The future is in our hands. So if you want to make this succeed, we can. And so please do reach out back to us. And Kingsley, I think to all these people who have attended today, we should give them a copy of the recording and notes on how to connect and so on and so forth, so that nobody should have any doubts or feel hesitant to come back to us. We want to be as informal and as welcoming as possible. Does anybody have any questions? Mr. Lim is here, he can answer the questions himself.
Jasper is here. Yeah.
No questions?
Okay, in this, as in many new enterprises, the questions will arise when we start doing. You know, so we never even think about it. And when you start doing it, then the questions arise and we discover what are the things more that we need to know. But at the same time, I think as Jasper has said again and again, you know, we're going into this on the basis of this is an open approach, really for people to decide what would be useful for you in the process of discovering how we all, you know, deep in our hearts, we believe in a message about honor, about being trustworthy, about looking out for each other. But each in our own circumstance, with our own challenges in life, how do we translate? How do we get ideas on what we can do? And in particular, how do we deal with the obstacles that we face? How do we deal, maybe in some instances, with supervisors who are asking us to do things which we don't feel too comfortable to do? Or how do you deal with teammates who are maybe in your mind annoying? How do we deal with young children in our family? How do we help them grow up? What are the challenges that our parents face? I mean, each of us has their own circumstance in our particular stages in life, and what we want is to create here a platform, a mechanism by which people with similar interests and similar challenges in life and similar concerns can come together, and in the process of sharing both our successes in life as well in some instances our setbacks, we all make progress. That's the whole idea. But I want to say, well, thanks very much, Jaspal and Joyce and GK and Randall and Min Yao for agreeing to be to start this process, to be the conveners for your respective honor champions groups. We all know how difficult it is to be pioneers and initiators. You are entering into new grounds, but what keeps us going is this conviction. What keeps us going is the enthusiasm of discovering, enthusiasm of learning what makes the system tick, what makes each other tick, and in the process, we hope we discover for each of ourselves a greater purposefulness in what we're trying to do. And actually going into when we talk about our needs in life, going beyond Maslow, is to discover, I hope, I believe, a means of happiness, a way by which we discover how do we improve on our level of happiness in life, because we are able to have a relationship with people of trust. We are able to have a relationship with people where our contributions are appreciated, where other people's contributions are appreciated, and we all make progress together. So thanks very much, everybody. You know, Jaspal as the lead convener, and our conveners, Joyce and GK and Randall and Min Yao. As I said, we know it is difficult to be pioneers and initiators because we can never be sure how things would turn out. But that exactly is the whole adventure that we find in life, which gives us that extra, energy and that extra vibrancy. At the end of the day, success lies in trying and learning and adjusting and enjoying the journey. Just recently, somebody just raising me the question, because I spent 3 years serving Lim Guan Yu, who's our founding prime minister, as his first ever principal private secretary, and they were asking, so what have I learned from him? I said, one of the critical things I learned from him is that if you try, you may succeed, you may fail, but if you don't try, for sure you have failed. And that's the adventure we are all on.
Very true.
Well, again, thank you very much, everybody. And with that, I would like to ask everybody who's on this event this evening, let's all join together in launching these pioneering honor champions groups, wishing them all success in helping their members find meaning and value in participation, and hoping that Honor Singapore would have been able to do its part in helping all these believers and champions of honor grow in happiness and purposefulness in all they undertake. This will, you can be sure, Honor Singapore is here to do everything that we can to keep the energy flowing. Now the issue is for each honor champions group to get on, and we want to keep in touch. We want to know what are the things which people are learning, which can be shared with each other. And just as you mentioned, there'll be times where we come together as conveners, and there'll be times where we come together as all the members, all the honor champions. So there'll be bigger meetings, smaller meetings, but in every instance, we want to make it such that our time is worth the spending on this effort.